Hey everyone. Excuse the angle, I'm still figuring out what I want to do, how I want to record. I'm actually standing now, I never used to stand, so I know, we'll see where this shit goes. In today's episode, I wanted to talk about the Juices Loose podcast. Now, I've mentioned this podcast a few times before, but I never really went into depth with it, and I guess a lot of people these days just watch these videos, probably watch the podcast. You know, my user base has been kinda split when it comes to my content. I don't know what to do with it, YouTube doesn't know what to do with it, but either way, today I wanted to talk about this podcast. So I've been on the Juices Loose podcast for 3 years now. January 17th, last month, was my 3-year anniversary of being on a podcast. And today, we're gonna celebrate that. Because I'm a fucking narcissist and I ask everybody to talk good shit about me. Now, my part on the podcast is I usually bring really fucking controversial opinions. Now, I blame this bad shit on only one thing. You know when you have an exorcism, people try to get like Satan out of the body of like a child, but then it goes wrong, and you have like two spirits of Satan going into like the father and the mother, shit like that. My first podcast was the number 126. And in that podcast, Mr. T, one of the members, was on the shitter for the entire podcast, and I blame my venue under this scene, my opinions, my bad takes, all on that.
Hey there, fools. There's a T here, broadcasting live from my mama's bathroom. So it's gonna be it's the only private room I could find in the house, so it's gonna be a little echoey on my end. I'll try to keep it at a minimum. But yes, I'm back in the States. This is like the second half of my vacation. So yeah, let's get it going.
I appreciate you jumping in, but I'm sure you just couldn't wait to talk about the Switch for another week.
No doubt. I had to get into this.
I actually wanted to talk about, I didn't just want to use this video to, strike my own ego and have everybody talk really good shit about me. I wanted to talk about each and every one of these guys a little bit. Because I love being on this podcast. It's so much fun, and I really wanted to use this video to just talk about this shit for a bit.
And what do we have here? I feel like playing something old, something retro, something good. How about this? Absolute garbage. Oh, I've heard about this one as well. I'm sure someone said that was one of the best platformers ever. Muppet. Oh wait, I actually heard this one was pretty good. One of the best games ever made, I believe. Yeah, I'm gonna play this. This game's awesome! Hey, what's going on everyone? Jason from Clocked It here, and my good friend RetroDeath, I love you good sir, asked me to appear on his channel and do a little video for him describing just one of the fun moments that we've had on the Juices Loose podcast. And the Juices Loose podcast is a great little podcast that I'm on, that he's on, with a bunch of really good YouTubers that we just basically talk video games, mostly Nintendo, because we're all great Nintendo fans. But we're just generally good video game fans overall, and own all systems between us pretty much. But when I was trying to think of a good episode, sometimes you can try and think of just really funny moments, but sometimes a whole podcast can be just one of those just great memories. And one podcast I remember was one where we were discussing E3. I believe it was last year's E3, and basically for the most part, most of the companies from that E3, when they done their shows, they were so bad that it almost destroyed the whole E3 for us. And sometimes it's more fun on a podcast to trash companies than actually talk about great news. And this is one of those episodes, and I'll play a little snippet now, which just it just started it off. And I think from that moment, the rest of the podcast, you know, I was just laughing at all the trash talking that we were doing at many of the companies.
It was the mobile game. Actually, the Just Dance was a nice reprieve from all the fucking shooting.
Yeah,
and shit.
somehow.
Like you guys
we
were
don't see that the
making
same.
fun of it, but I was just
Yeah,
like, finally, we're not
I
watching.
mean, you know why? Because it was poorly timed. I would think I was talking about it.
Oh, we get to clear our palate from all this murdering.
Yeah, it's just cover-based third-person shooting bullshit. Like,
Just Dance a reprieve, you fucking.
Yeah.
I feel like someone lost the
It
bid
wa-
if that's the case.
you disagree? You'd rather seen another Tom Clancy at that point?
It's like you're stepping like in like 5 thirds in a row, and then at the end somebody smears dirt in your face. You know, like that was not a reprieve.
Oh, that was better. Thank you.
But yeah, since I've been on the podcast, you know, these are the type of conversations that we have with the Juices Loose crew. You know, like I said, we all love video games. You know, we'll chew out Nintendo, we'll chew out other companies, but at the same time, you know, we'll big them up when they deserve to be bigged up. But just that E3 and so many moments from it in that podcast, I don't know, for some reason it just stuck in my mind that I knew exactly what episode to search for in order to do this little snippet for you. But yeah, RetroDeath, I hope this is what you want. I hope this is what your crew wants. I hope this is what your fans want. And yeah, you know, I guess it's over to you, my friends. Back to you. Something. Trash, Retro. Trash.
So as I said before, I joined at 126.
All right, so first time on the Juices Loose. I want to give a warm Juices Loose welcome to RetroDeath, a longtime viewer of the podcast, and he made a funny video and where he was reading his diary out loud, where he's just been waiting to be on the Juices Loose. So it made me laugh. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna have him on. So what's up, RetroDeath, man? Welcome to the Juices Loose.
Dear diary, it's been 127 episodes. And Terminator Juice still hasn't invited me for his podcast. I don't know how I'm gonna survive this. Oh, hello, I'm RetroDeath. And Terminator Juice recently had a podcast where he talked with the group about their expectations for the Switch event. And I usually don't do these kinds of videos, but I can never chime in on what the fuck they're saying, so I'm making my own video. Let's go. We're now at 200... fuck. 60 something, I think. We're going pretty strong, and we've had the current members for a while now, but during the years the podcast has changed members, and I just wanted to talk about the current members for a little bit.
They're stepping up crime, and you know that ain't baloney. They're Speedy Cerviche, he's the leader of the bunch. A heck of a fighter, makes a heck of a lunch.
So first off, we have Terminator Juice. Now, the podcast is on his channel because he's also a narcissist and he doesn't like to share. As a matter of fact, when I joined the podcast, that was the first time anybody's link had ever been in the channel description, which was mine. I think now it's standard, all our channel links are in the description, but that wasn't normal before that. And Juice is often described as the father, more so, because we're like friends, we're like family, we like to dick around and all that shit, but sometimes it gets out of control. Everybody talks over each other and somebody wants to say something actually intelligent and they can't because people are dicking around too much, and Juice is like, yo, fucker, shut the fuck up, somebody wants to talk. And you need that. There's way too many podcasts without a decent moderator, and Juice, he just, you know, he takes care of us, he makes sure everybody gets a turn to talk and he just keeps us in check.
I've never prayed you before. I have no tongue for it. No one, not even you, will remember if we were good men or bad. Why we fought or why we died. No. All that matters is that two stood against many. That's what's important. Power pleases you, Crom. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge. And if you do not listen, then the hell with you.
Then we have my boy Clocked It. And he's the first guy you saw before in the video clip. He's my boy from the EU. Well, I mean, he kind of Brexited at this point, but he's still my Europa boy. Like, we live in similar time zones. He's an hour behind me. And I feel whenever shit is going wrong and even Juice is losing track of keeping everybody in control, Clocked It, he like comes in with a super deep fucking voice, which is like English Shakespeare, and he just like smooths shit over, and it always feel like his voice imposes this tranquility with his like eloquent vocabulary, that kind of shit. I know, I like hearing him talk. I like hearing him talk. Then of course we have Mr. T. Mr. T is how I discovered this podcast, how I discovered everybody. Years ago, Mr. T, he would make these videos about the crumb side. The crumb side of YouTube is like, if you love drama, the crumb side, it's not what it used to be. People don't attack each other as much, people don't have as many controversial opinions, but I know Mr. T, he's the guy who was my gateway into this, and he often has like this voice of reason, but he's kind of like me, where sometimes he has these like really weird, funky opinions, and I feel one of the main reasons I bond with Mr. T is he's like a retro gamer like me and a collector. Just like Clocked It, me and T, we're like these retro collectors, you know, and you know, we all bond with different things, and I don't know, with T, it's just that retro collecting aspect that allows us to talk about these really old games nobody gives a fuck about. Then we have Robert. And I fucking love it. Everybody loves Robert. Robert is the guy who's just, he brings in a lot of the laughs and the bullshit. He says some really funny shit, but he's always so jovial. Is that a word for it? Jovial? He's just so happy and shit, and he's always just laughing and just, I don't know, you need that in a podcast. This one guy who just brings all the dumb shit into it. He also has his own preference when it comes to games, and certain things always come up, like fucking rabbits go home and that kind of shit. And I actually met Robert when I went to New York a while ago, and I just loved meeting him, and he's just exactly the same in real life, just laughing and bullshitting. Just a great guy to hang out with, and I like that. You need that kind of bullshit.
助けてみせる。俺はミリオンを救う。相手をよく見て反応させない。もう苦しんでる子を悲しませない。せりゃ読んでるさ。パワー。これが経験を力にするということさ。
And of course, saving the best for last, Terrell, the Insane Game Freak. Now, in a weird way, I like Terrell best. You shouldn't have a favorite kid, but everybody fucking does. I like Terrell because Terrell, he's who he is. He's insane, and he brings some really weird shit, and he's just laughing and fucking around more so than everybody else, I feel. And whenever we have like game nights, Terrell is always the one just like bringing the absolute bullshit, and we like targeting each other and Smash is fucking around. But more so than anything, me and Terrell, we bond over the anime shit. And in my entire life, I've had nobody to talk about it, about anime. I've had my brother, but even that the discussions don't happen a lot. And I feel Terrell, he understands the titty shite, you know, the lolly shit. I can talk about him with the dumbest obscure shit even when it comes to anime, and he gets me. And it's like hard to find people that get you on like that meta level, you know. It's just, I just fucking love Terrell.
Oh. Hi everybody, Insane Game Freak here. For the sake of heaven, for the sake of heaven, I shall support hell by supporting my dark metal brother, RetroDeath. I can't do it, it's ridiculous. That's besides the point. Today, of this greatest of days, we're here to celebrate my man, Retro. It's funny because I do this as if like he's dead and he's not. But if you're a fan of like heavy metal and that grunge shit, I feel like the death motif kind of fit. Like people would do that. It's like people who dress in like zombie wedding outfits for their legit like wedding. I don't fucking know. I'm rambling. That's besides the point. We're here to talk about my favorite memory of Retro. It's not really as much of a moment as it's just something that we share, which is our open. It's weird. The anime titty is very important, and it can bring you together. Because if you latch on to one breast, and your friend latches on to another breast, eventually them bitches are swinging like pendulums, and they come together and creates this bond. It's not like the anime titty was it, but the fact that we could like bond over certain animes, especially any popular shows that were going, My Hero Academia being one of those special ones, was great. So like I could talk about certain anime games or just animes in general and know that Retro would completely understand what the fuck I was talking about. Because realistically, not saying the other group doesn't, but I appreciated having a bro who like understood the anime conversation. Because the anime conversation is indeed an art. And if you don't have that art, then what do you have? You have nothing! Nothing but lies!
See, this video isn't just people praising the awesomeness that is I also like to talk about these guys just because they deserve the spotlight, because they're like fucking, it's like fucking family, man. Like some of the better friends I've had, and like I said, when you talk for like 3 years with these guys every fucking week, and even outside of the podcast, we chat, we have these incredible game nights, we do voice chat out, so there's so much more going on even behind the scenes. We have fun together, we like laughing, we love bullshit, and like I said, when we have game nights, we're just laughing, we're having fun, and we're the kind of people that we like to poke corpses with sticks, you know. I don't know how else to explain it. When somebody has a really bad take on something, like me, it's just fun to like take a stick and just like prod at the corpse, you know, like making fun of the stupid opinions and shit. It's like, we just don't take shit serious, and you need that when you have a group of people that meet every fucking week. You can't just take shit so serious all the time.
What is up, guys? It is Robert at Gaming with me, and two things I love are retro things and death. So obviously this is my favorite fucking channel of all time, and he happens to be a really good friend of mine. How awesome is that? We're on a podcast together a lot, and he says some funny things, some controversial things at times, and one major thing for me is anytime he is always the opposite of completely everyone, I think it's hilarious, and it happens quite often. I mean, the major thing is probably the Metroid Prime 2, where he's always talking about how much he hates Metroid Prime 2. Now, I personally didn't play Metroid Prime 2, but I played Metroid Prime 1, and I loved it. And it's so hard to believe that something that was critically very much praised, same with fans, I just don't see how Metroid Prime 2 could probably be that bad, but he hates it. He hates it. And the whole talking of atmosphere, you know, all the time is so damn funny. And it happens just quite often whenever, you know, he'll rank stuff that are lower that just people are like, what? Because of atmosphere. And it's pretty damn funny. And that's Retro for you. He favors, Metroid Prime, but he wants nothing to do with Metroid Prime 2, and he favors atmosphere over everything, and it's just very, very funny when all the guys kind of start to listen to him, and we all start to laugh. Not at him, but it is very, very funny.
We all come from different walks of life. We have different people from everywhere. You have people from like the fucking middle farmlands, the like fucking hood. Should I say that? I think T said he was from the hood. New York. I don't remember, oh my god. We're keeping this shit in. And again, that's what I like about it. You can say shit about each other. People say shit about me.
One who'd save his brother above all else. He has many names. Kinslayer, Executioner, Death.
Nobody takes it serious. It doesn't fucking matter. Like I said, with me, like, I'm Dutch, now I'm living in France, I'm like golf, I'm like all into metal and that kind of shit. Like I said, we have T, and Teron kind of grew up in a similar area, I think. Juice, like he's from a whole different place. Robert, again, we've clocked that from fucking UK, who's like, I mean the UK, but what can you say about that fucking shit? There's not much left of that anymore.
Cool moment. I just think it's cool because it was cool for me. The minute you realize somebody who's in the comment section, who comments all the time, who's watching your videos, watching your podcasts all the time, and you agree with a lot of their comments and all that stuff, and to finally put a voice to the comments, to put a voice to that YouTube avatar. That's a cool thing. That's a cool moment. Just that first time that I can remember that he was on the podcast was the cool moment with Retro. He seemed like he was pretty comfortable, and just hearing his voice was just pretty cool. Because again, all you see before that is his name and the the little circle avatar and his comments. And he was definitely a viewer of our content that was pretty invested, and he was there. He would comment on videos, and he was funny, and he's like that now that you can actually hear his voice. So, and you would never guess what he would sound like, and that's another cool thing. That's another thing that makes him stand out. That makes him unique. I often jokingly call him Balki Bartakamus from Perfect Strangers. But that's just that uniqueness that it's cool for our podcast. So we have him. We have Clocked It, who's from Wales. I know I screwed that up last time. And it's just a nice eclectic. I mean, how cool is that to have dudes that are up, that late, that early in the morning, to be on a podcast with us, us Yankees, and they're really engaged. It's not like they're half asleep. They're engaged, and they're, in the topics. And I mean, that's just cool. It shows the passion that they have for the podcast and that they've had for our content. And now they are our content. They are a part of it. We're all a part of it together. So that's just cool. And we're all brothers, we argue like brothers, and we're cool afterwards. It's not something that lingers, just like, brothers do. Brothers argue. They're passionate. We're passionate about our opinions, but we come back, and it's not personal. It's not a personal thing. We're just cool like that. I mean, to me, that's what's cool, is that we can do that and not have to worry about anything.
Sometimes you have, let's say, an argument or debate about a specific game. And that's what I like about this group. You have an argument about a game. Some people like the game, some people hate it. There's some random weird-ass opinion, that's usually me. And, you keep it contained. And then once the argument is over, we're just there. We don't fight behind the scenes. Some people even fight on fucking camera. Bet this, I'll fuck you up that. Meet me here, I'll beat you up in real life. We don't have that shit. we're actually like a family, like a group of friends, and we have, like I said, these game nights, and we can separate ourselves from the video game opinions. It's never that serious, and the fact that we can say whatever we want about each other and everybody doesn't just take it personal, that's what I like about this group. I figured we'd end this video with like the thing everybody has been waiting for to hear. My most controversial opinions, because like I said, from my part, I feel I bring, I came to the podcast expecting to bring a lot of the European opinions on it, PAL shit, sales here and the way games certain work over here, and I feel at this point Clock that he brings that as well, so I'm no longer alone, and I kinda like that. But I have really controversial opinions, so we're gonna have like a little top 5 of our most controversial opinions ever. Number 5! My top 10 video games of the decade. Including a game that I knew was gonna bring a lot of shit, and I can't help it. I am who I am. I like what I like, and I knew I was gonna like this game, and it blew my expectations out of the water. It was just Days Gone. I fucking love Days Gone. It had to be on my top 10 favorite video game list of the decade, and I just knew it was gonna stir up some shit. Number 4! So, one of the things I often bring up in video games that I like, and Robert mentioned before, is atmosphere. And one of the main gameplay elements that brings so much atmosphere to a game, which I always feel, and I say it often, and I judge games often on this one element, it's underwater exploration. I felt, for example, Breath of the Wild, which was an incredible fucking game, incredible game, being based around exploration. I didn't like the fact that you couldn't go into caves and there was no underwater exploration. I feel underwater exploration is an element certain games simply need. Now, a game isn't bad per se for not having it, but a game is better when it implements it. And certain games, especially when focusing on exploration, it just requires that underwater element. When you go underwater, old school video games do it a lot. When you go underwater and the music just changes a little bit, or the tone of the music changes. You have the similar song, but the tone changes. You have these super chill water music effects. I mean, Dire Dogs, come on, shit like that. And a good game for me just requires it. Like I said, a game doesn't become bad because it doesn't have it, but I feel for a game, they always shine more when they have it. Especially when focusing on exploration. Like, I felt it was like almost a travesty that Breath of the Wild didn't have it. Number 3! On number 3, I can't remember everything, I need a list. This one actually, I think happened before I was on the podcast. I made a video reacting to something Juice had said, where I feel the GameCube is a much better system than the Wii. I hated the Wii for the fucking motion controls. A lot of games, Skyward Sword, Metroid Prime 3, they were ruined because of the motion controls. Some games it just didn't work, it was jank, I don't like motion controls. The GameCube, you had games like Luigi's Mansion, Pikmin, Chibi-Robo. It brought a lot of new IP to the system, and it brought back a lot of old shit really good, like F-Zero, Star Fox came back again, and so much more, with Mario Sunshine, Eternal Darkness new IP, shit like that. And even more than that, the GameCube brought some of the greatest RPGs ever, Skies of Arcadia Legend, Tales of Symphonia, Button fucking Kaitos. The GameCube was just art for me, and even when I say that, I still feel it has bad points, because some of the games other people herald as the best, like Mario Kart Double Dash and Melee, for me are the worst in those series. But the Wii versus GameCube, man, I started such a shitstorm with that. And then later on, a few years later, me and Mr. T, we brought it back again, and we started the whole thing over, and it's just, oh, I love that stuff. Number 2. Now, I almost put this on number 1, but when I asked people to send me clips only 2 people actually brought this up and 3 people brought up the other shit. And number 2, it has to be mentioned, because often I say shit and it's either misinterpreted or I just say it wrongly. Now, I don't think Yooka-Laylee is a better video game than Super Mario Odyssey. But I definitely think, and I will always stand by that, Yooka-Laylee is a better platformer than Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey, once I finished it, I couldn't get back into it. I can still go back to fucking Super Mario 64 and enjoy the shit out of that. Or Sunshine, or Galaxy. Galaxy is art. But Mario Odyssey is so flat, the whole world feels so flat, I can't get back into it anymore. And even when I have some of the Dark Side of the Moon stuff to do, I don't find enjoyment in it anymore. It is not a good platformer. And Yooka-Laylee, especially like I said, the first one which I logged, which I'm back, and I love that game. It looks amazing, it plays amazing, it's an excellent 3D platformer. It's like you look around and it's just platforming galore, and I know man, people don't like it when I say that shit. Number one, that's something that has come back a lot of times before, but you've heard me say it enough. I made a 30-minute video about this shit. Let's hear it from the boss himself.
What's up? This is Terminator Juice, and I'm gonna spend the next few minutes talking about the man, the myth, the metal, RetroDeath. The man I've had on the Juices Loose podcast for over 3 years. Not sure the exact first podcast he was on. I looked in podcast number 126 from over 3 years ago. It was the first one I could find with seeing his icon on screen. But I did say welcome back, so I don't know the actual first. It was so memorable, I can't even find the first podcast you were on. But anyway, probably the one thing that stands out above all else, and I've had 5 years of podcasts, hundreds, 300-400 probably podcasts total amongst all the other channels, 2 hour plus discussions each time. It's hard to remember every little thing, but the one thing that stands out the most about RetroDeath is when his dumbass said that Metroid Prime 2 was a trash game and that Retro Studios is an overrated developer and has one good game or whatever. And I just remember everybody's reactions, and we're just like, what the fuck? That was before we really realized RetroDeath loves to be that guy that either loves the thing people don't like, that most people don't like, or he likes to hate on things that most people love. If there's a terrible game somebody mentions, good chance that RetroDeath's going to say it's one of the greatest games of all time. Same with movies, and it's just the way he is, and it's always fun to have that kind of controversy. But I always appreciate RetroDeath for taking everything, taking all the punches, all the shit we give him, and just not letting it affect him and just laughing it off, because it's all in good fun. So good memories, and that's definitely the one that stands out. So that's what I got. See you later.
Like I said, I'm being burned at the stake for this opinion all the time. Metroid Prime 2 echoes. I can do all this movement shit now when I'm standing. It's not a good fucking game. I goddamn hate it. It's like one of those worst sequels ever, and I know it's definitely my most controversial opinion, and Robert mentioned it before as well, and I'm curious once he finishes what he thinks about it. He's gonna be swayed by Clock Dead and shit, the gang trying to persuade him. It's a great fucking game, even though factually it is not. Like I said, I made a video about it, point after point after point, destroying the bullshit that is Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. There you have it. A really way too long video where everybody says really awesome shit about me, because I am just that awesome. But mostly me talking about these guys, because I've been with this family for 3 fucking years now. 3 years. And I look forward to every Monday just talking about random shit, bullshitting together. Often at the end of the week we do have game nights, we play Smash or whatever, and it's great, and I love these guys. And I will put all their links in the video description so you can check them out as well. You've seen kind of what these guys are about, but each of them individually make really good content. Robert right now has his back at the backlog series. Terminator Juice often has his Juice opinions where he elaborates on points because on the podcast he gives us a lot of time and he talks, but he gives us a lot of the floor, and in his juice opinions he elaborates on his own points. We have Clocked, who always has like the weirder videos. He talks about the shit just nobody talks about, because everybody is a sheep. Everybody makes the same video game related video. Somebody talks about something, everybody talks about it. Clocked does his own thing, and he often has really good topics. Robert, I already talked about him. Terrell has like 100 fucking channels, and he does his Pokemon shit, he does his anime shit, and his gaming shit. He does streaming a lot when it comes to his gaming content. And then there is Mizzy, who often talks about the stuff other people talk about, but from a very different perspective. And a lot of the times he just talks about shit that later on everybody will talk about. Like, he's often first with a lot of his thoughts, and he doesn't hesitate to share that. And well, you guys know what I bring to the table. I mean, a lot of you guys are here because my channel is my video. Even I'm pretty sure like the guys will probably like share this shit a bit, and maybe some other people will come in. I just talk about video games. I have my shitty opinions, and I do talk about metal and vlogging and that kind of shit, and like everybody does his own thing, and when you put this together, it's like great fucking fun. Check us out. We're there every Monday on the Juices of This podcast. Stay real.
So, Robert, final thoughts.
So I saw Rogue One for a
Come on, no. Get him out of here. Get him out.
Give some game thoughts. What's some podcast related?
So mad. He's like, come on, man.
So I played the Switch, you know. But yeah, guys, the Switch is in less than 2 months. Get your underwear ready, because you know you're gonna need them. And I'll see you guys another time.